Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य श्रोतो श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीवीडी फाउंडर श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य श्रोतो श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगामय की यमुनामय की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी महारानी की संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। So we thank all of you for kindly agreeing to come at such an odd time. So sorry for the disturbances in schedules, but what to do? Krishna is in control.
We are very grateful to Prabhuji.
No, it's the other way around. It's okay.
Because Prabhuji was in Bangalore, and only so that our whole year schedule should not get disturbed, Prabhuji took out time from his tight schedule there and came just for 3-4 days to complete this unit properly for devotees. And I was giving other options, but they were, then Prabhuji was telling no. this is an important unit, and especially chapter 5 is very important. We don't want to compromise anyway. So then Prabhuji, in the night he thought plan B, and the next morning, early morning, he sent me a plan B and sent a SMS also that I sent you mail, check it. Then I sent you plan B. So we are very grateful to Prabhuji for teaching us by his example that how to heartfully and actually benefit the devotees by sacrifices. So let us welcome Prabhuji by loudly chanting from the heart once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
I think so. We should be grateful to Aditya Ram Prabhu for kindly giving his darshan after a long time. Delivering the whole world. Okay, so in the last chapter we discussed about Maharaj Nabi's sacrifice. So what is one point you remember from that sacrifice and the Brahmana's prayers to Lord Vishnu? Yes, Harinarayan.
The Brahmanas were feeling very ashamed to call Lord just for a pity desire of
Son. Okay, that's one point, good. Okay, they were ashamed to call the Lord. What was another important point which sort of got repeated? कोई और बोल?
There are various ways to attain the mercy of the Lord.
Hmm.
The sacrifice,
Okay. Okay, वो भी ठीक है. So one significant point in those prayers was that the Lord actually does not require our service. Yes, so it is not that the Lord is obliged to come, He is forced to come, but then He agrees to accept our service. That is His causeless mercy. So, therefore, we are grateful for the opportunity to serve. That is ultimately for our benefit. Recently in... who was telling this? I don't remember exactly who. In Mayapur, one Bhagavatam speaker was... oh yes, it was Jananand Goswami. So he was telling that how this was in February of 1966. So early stages, ISKCON was not yet officially registered, but Srila Prabhupada was trying to preach in New York. And so there were evening classes, 3 evenings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Bhagavad Gita classes. So on one such evening, so nobody came. Nobody came for the class. So Srila Prabhupada alone did kirtan for 2.5 hours. Alone. So that was Srila Prabhupada. Simply ready to serve. And of course, shortly after that, Srila Prabhupada spoke the entire introduction to the Bhagavad Gita for 3 hours. Who was the audience? No, not same day. Some other day. Huh? Yes, no one. The dictaphone. That's all. So that's how Srila Prabhupada has showed us that how ultimately we are serving for our own benefit. So if that's the mood, then we'll always be enthusiastic. Because who gets the benefit? I get the benefits. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. So it is ultimate swartha. So that's what I was saying. So therefore I have to be grateful to you that at least you have come. But Ultimately, I am getting the benefit by. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to study the Bhagavatam in your association. Okay, fine. So chapter 4, the characteristics of Lord Rishabdev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First verse. Shri Shuka Uvacha Athaha tam utpatyeva bhivyajyamana Bhagaval Lakshanam Samyopashama Vairagyeshwarya Mahavibhutivir Anudinam Edamananubhavam Prakritiya Praja Brahmana Devatas Chavani Talas Samavanayayatram Jagrudu. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, as soon as the Lord was born as the son of Maharaj Nabi, he manifested symptoms of the Supreme Lord, such as the marks on the bottoms of his feet, the flag, thunderbolt, etc. This son was equal to everyone and very peaceful. He could control his senses and his mind, and possessing all opulence, he did not hanker for material enjoyment. Endowed with all these attributes, the son of Maharaj Nabi became more powerful day after day. Due to this, the citizens, learned brahmanas, demigods and ministers wanted Rishabdev to be appointed ruler of the earth. So right from the beginning, he manifested the symptoms of the Supreme Lord, like flag, thunderbolts. And then these various qualities were seen, equal to everyone, peaceful, control of the mind and senses and all that. In the purport, Prabhupada talks about the cheap incarnations. In these days of cheap incarnations, it is very interesting to note the bodily symptoms found in an incarnation. So the incarnation is recognized by these various symptoms. So in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 22nd chapter. Sorry, I don't remember the exact. So, anyway, you can find it. So there, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami how to recognize an avatar. So he talks about Swarup Lakshan and Tadastha Lakshan. So what are the Swarup Lakshan of the avatar? There are three Swarup Lakshan. Akriti, Prakriti and Swarup. Okay? Akriti means bodily features. Prakriti means Prakriti, material, spiritual Prakriti. And Swarupa. Swarup means the constitutional nature, like Sachidanand Swarup. So that these three constitute the Swarup Lakshan. And the Tadastha Lakshan are the various activities which the avatar performs. So both by the Swarup Lakshan and Tadastha Lakshan, one can recognize who is an avatar. So the Lakshanas have to be there, otherwise not simply by popular votes, as Srila Prabhupada said. An incarnation of the Lord is not recognized by vox populi. Vox populi means popular vote. So because many people declare somebody to be God, therefore he is God. So not like that. But there have to be the appropriate symptoms by which he is recognized. So Srila Prabhupada is describing some of those symptoms. So an incarnation of God must have the 6 opulences, self-control, liked by everyone. And so all these qualities must be there. So towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes, an incarnation of God has to be accepted by experienced people and by the symptoms described in the Shastras. An incarnation is not accepted simply by the adulation of foolish people, the votes of foolish people. Text 2. When the son of Maharaj Nabi became visible, he evinced all good qualities described by the great poets, namely a well-built body with all the symptoms of Godhead, prowess, strength, beauty, name, fame, influence and enthusiasm, When the father Maharaj Nabi saw all these qualities, he thought his son to be the best of human beings or the supreme being. Therefore, he gave him the name Rishabha, the best of human beings. So, again, Prabhupada is talking about the symptoms. Okay, third. Indra, the king of heaven, who is very materially opulent, became envious of King Rishabdev. So, unfortunately, he has these materialistic tendencies. So, when becomes powerful, he becomes envious. Consequently, he stopped pouring water on the planet known as Bharatvarsha. At that time, the Supreme Lord Rishabdev, the master of all mystic power, understood King Indra's purpose and smiled a little. Then, by his own prowess through Yogamaya, his internal potency, he profusely poured water upon his own place, which was known as Ajanabha. So, the Supreme Lord does not depend on anyone. So, even though Indra stopped giving rain, but the Supreme Lord, he is the controller of everything, so he could bring rain. So here Srila Prabhupada explains that both King Indra and Rishabdev, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, are described as Bhagavan. Further down, he says others also like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, they're all addressed as Bhagavan due to their extraordinary opulence. And then Prabhupada talks about Yajñat Bhavati Parjanya. So that's how one can get rain, by the performance of Yajña. And clouds and rainfall are in the management of Indra, the heavenly king. But when Indra is neglectful, the Supreme Lord himself, who is also known as Yajña or Yajñapati, takes the task upon himself. Consequently, there was sufficient rainfall in the place known as Ajanabha. When Yajñapati wants to, he can do anything without the help of any subordinate. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is known as Almighty. And then he's talking about the Kali Yuga, how all these, there'll be great scarcity of water, anavrishti, because of no yajna. So therefore, everyone must perform Sankirtan yajna. And towards the end, Prabhupada writes, every family in every society can conduct Sankirtan yajna at least every evening. In this way, there will be no disturbance or scarcity of rain. It is essential for the people in this age to perform the Sankirtan yajna in order to be materially happy and to advance spiritually. Here, Srila Prabhupada has given a little concession. He says, at least every evening. There is another purport in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, verses 8 to 12, where Srila Prabhupada explains, yes, how every family can be Krishna conscious by 4 ways. What are they? Yes. Deity worship, chanting Hare Krishna's Kirtan, right? Yes. Reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So there Srila Prabhupada says twice, morning and evening. Every morning and evening, the family members should come together and chant the holy names, read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was Prabhupada's program, always, twice, morning, evening. Even within our temples, morning, evening. So, but here he has given a little concession. He says, of course, he says, at least every evening, every family, in every society. So that's how one can be materially satisfied and also advance spiritually. So this is science. So one has to perform these things if one wants at least material prosperity. Okay, read the next translation. You'll read. कहाँ है दूसरा माइक कहाँ है? हाँ ठीक है पीछे. Read.
Due to getting a perfect son according to his desire, King Nabi was always overwhelmed with transcendental bliss and was very affectionate to his son. It was with ecstasy and a faltering voice that he addressed him, "My dear son, my darling." This mentality was brought about by Yogamaya, whereby he accepted the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father, as his own son. Out of his supreme goodwill, the Lord became his son and dealt with everyone as if were an ordinary human being. Thus King Nabi began to raise his transcendental son with great affection, and he was overwhelmed with transcendental bliss, joy and devotion.
Purport.
The word Maya is used in the sense of illusion. Considering the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be his own son, Maharaj Nabhi was certainly an illusion, but this was transcendental illusion. This illusion is required, otherwise how can one accept the Supreme Father as his own son? The Supreme Lord appears as a son of one of his devotees, just as Lord Krishna appeared as son of Yashoda and Nand Maharaj. These devotees could never think of their son as Supreme Personality of Godhead, for such appreciation would hamper their relationship of parental love.
Okay, so this is the influence of Yogamaya. So by the influence of Yogamaya only they could accept the Supreme Lord as their son and have all these transcendental relationships. So Yogamaya and then Mahamaya. So Yogamaya acts in these transcendental relationships so that the devotees can experience the proper relationship with the Supreme Lord and do the service. Otherwise it would not be possible. But in the material world, the living entities are covered by Mahamaya. And so both of them perform the same activity of covering the living entities. So in which verse there is a nice description of Yogamaya and Mahamaya? Teachings of Queen Kunti. Okay, there's something. But there's one verse which is only talking on this subject matter. In the second canto, ninth chapter, 34, yes, Chatushloki Bhagavat, in the 34th verse. So there, the Supreme Lord is speaking to Brahma. So that verse is specifically talking about this Mahamaya and Yogamaya. So both are performing the same activity of covering the living entities, but Mahamaya covers the living entities to put them in forgetfulness of Krishna, and Yogamaya is also doing the same thing, but that is to increase one's devotional service. So that is the difference. So as far as we are concerned, how can we transform the influence of Mahamaya to the influence of Yogamaya? We have discussed this quite a few times. Yes, 1:3:34. Good, yes, at least somebody remembers. So yes, by repentance and penance. So that is how one can transform the influence of Mahamaya to the influence of Yogamaya. So because by that repentance and penance one gets purified. So to the degree one gets purified, the influence of Mahamaya transforms into influence of Yogamaya. So therefore that purification is what is required. Okay, read the next one, 5th verse.
King Nabhi understood that his son Rishabh was very popular among the citizens and among government officers and ministers. Understanding the popularity of his son, Maharaj Nabhi enthroned him as the emperor of the world to give protection to the general populace in terms of the Vedic religious system. To do this, he entrusted him into the hands of learned Brahmanas who would guide him in administrating the government. Then Maharaj Nabhi and his wife Meru Devi went to Badrik Ashram in the Himalaya mountains, where the king engaged himself with very expertly in austerities and penances with great jubilation. In full samadhi, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is Krishna in his planetary expansion. By doing so, in course of time, Maharaj Nabhi was elevated to the spiritual world known as Vaikuntha.
Yes. So Maharaj Nabhi, he understood that Rishabdev was becoming very popular, and so therefore he enthroned him as the emperor, and he especially entrusted him into the hands of learned Brahmanas. So that is the system. So the Kshatriyas would rule according to the guidance of the Brahmanas. And then Maharaj Nabhi and Meru Devi, they went to Badrikashram. An interesting point is where the king engaged himself very expertly in austerities and penances with great jubilation. So nobody likes austerity. So austerity means it is, as Srila Prabhupada describes, in this purport only I suppose, or in another purport. So austerity means what? What's the definition of tapasya? Yes, voluntarily accepting some inconvenience. So inconvenience is cause of distress, correct? So how can one happily perform tapasya? How is it possible? Happily perform tapasya. Yes, if one is clear about the goal, then one will perform happily. If not happily, at least one should, yes, as a matter of duty, understanding that at least in the future there will be happiness. If not now, at least in the future there will be some happiness. So with that objective in mind, so one can perform austerities. So this is called happiness in which mode? Goodness. So happiness and goodness is, what does Krishna say, Bhagavad Gita? Yes, poison in the beginning, nectar at the end. In Rajoguna it's the opposite. So therefore this is in Sattva. So in Sattva it appears to be poison in the beginning, so there is some difficulty. But later it will turn to nectar. One will experience great happiness. So sitting in this class at this odd time also may appear to be big tapasya. But hopefully there will be some nectar at the end. At least at the end of this year there will be some nectar. Of course, some other tapasya also is required. So of course our duty to give some constant reminders. CBA, OBA. So if one undergoes that tapasya also, then next year, very auspicious year, next year, very auspicious year. What? Huh? 50th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance next year. So if you perform the tapasya this year, then in the auspicious next year, you can get your Bhakti Vaibhav certificates. So tapasya has to be complete. So even though a little bit of poison now, but some nectar one can experience. So Srila Prabhupada is focusing on this point. He wanted to entrust his son into the hands of the learned Brahmanas. This means that a monarch was supposed to govern strictly according to Vedic principles under the guidance of learned Brahmanas, who could advise him according to the standard Vedic scriptures like Manusmriti and similar Shastras. It is the duty of the king to rule the citizens according to Vedic principles. So last time we had that entire discussion, if you remember, we had that group work. Remember? Group work we had. On what? Yes, so some principles of leadership from the Bhagavatam we had seen. So this is a constant principle we find. We find even in the 4th canto, Lord Vishnu speaking to Prithu Maharaj. So there also Lord Vishnu, he tells Prithu Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj is empowered with Praja Palan Shakti. So he instructs Maharaj Prithu that he must rule according to the guidance of the Brahmanas. That is the important point. And so therefore we find in the Vedic times this was the standard, that always the Kshatriyas would rule according to the guidance of the Brahmanas. And so therefore, that is very important, that one rules according to the Vedic principles. Then only that will be pleasing to the Lord, and then everyone gets the benefit. So therefore, the same principle applies in our Krishna conscious society also. So all activities need to be performed according to the Shastric injunctions. Further down the purport, Prabhupada writes, after dividing society in this way, it is the king's duty to see that everyone executes Vedic principles according to his caste. A Brahmana must perform the duty of a Brahmana without cheating the public. It is not that one attains the name of a Brahmana without the qualifications. Then what is called? Yes, Brahmabandhu. It is the king's duty to see that everyone engages in his occupational duty according to Vedic principles. In addition, retirement at the end of life is compulsory. So Maharaj Nabi and his wife, they went to Badrikashram to worship Narnaran Rishi. So the next paragraph, this is the way of Vedic life. One must stop the process of repeated birth and death and return home back to Godhead. Now some other important points Prabhupada is writing here. The words tan mahimanam avapa are significant in this regard. Srila Sridhar Swami says that mahima means liberation in this life. We should act in such a way in this life that after giving up this body, we will become liberated from the bondage of repeated birth and death. This is called Jivan Mukti. What's the verse? Jivan Mukti? Ihaya sahare dase karmana manasa gira nikila swabhyavastasu jivan mukta so uchyate. So engaging body, mind, words, everything in the Lord's service. So that is Jivan Mukta. Srila Veer Raghava Acharya states that in the Chandogya Upanishad there are 8 symptoms of a Jivan Mukta, a person who's already liberated even when living in this body. Okay, so 8 symptoms of the Jivan Mukta. So we can see how many symptoms we have. The first symptom of one so liberated is that he is freed from all sinful activity. Apahata papa. Freed from all sinful activity. That is the first symptom. So one who is liberated in this life does not commit any sinful activities. Another symptom of a liberated person, at least we can aspire to come to this platform. If we are not yet on this platform, then at least we should know the goal so we can try to achieve. Another symptom of liberated person is jara, which indicates that he is not subjected to the miseries of old age. So devotee does not become old, correct? Ever youthful. तो कैसे समझेंगे इसको? हाँ?
Not affected with the bodily changes which is happening.
Yes, good point, good point. The going towards immortality, that is correct. And therefore you can see actually Srila Prabhupada's usage of language is very precise. See what Prabhupada is writing? Yes, he is not subjected to the miseries of old age. He didn't say he is not subjected to old age. He is not subjected to the miseries of old age. That means old age is going to be there, but he is not going to be affected by the miseries. So in that connection, we have a very nice purport. Somebody open. This is 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 3rd verse. This is in connection to Uddhav.
He is eager to discuss the Lord's passion.
So read that purport. Read the verse and purport. Translation and purport, read.
Uddhav thus served the Lord continuously from childhood, and in his old age that attitude of service never slackened. As soon as he was asked about the message of the Lord, he at once remembered all about him. Purport. Transcendental service to the Lord is not mundane. The service attitude of the devotee gradually increases and never becomes slackened.
Okay, so that's the important point. The service attitude of the devotee increases, it never slackens, it never reduces. Okay, so it's not that now I become old, now no more service. No. So as the age increases, service attitude increases. The type of service may change, but the service attitude needs to increase. आगे बढ़ो.
Generally, in old age, a person is allowed retirement from mundane service. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no retirement at all. On the contrary, the service attitude increases more and more with the progress of age. In the transcendental service, there is no satiation, and therefore there is no retirement. Materially, when a man becomes tired by rendering service in his physical body, he is allowed retirement. But in the transcendental service, there is no feeling of fatigue because it is spiritual service and is not on the bodily plane. Service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old, and therefore on the spiritual plane, the service is never tiresome. Uddhav undoubtedly became old, but that does not mean that his spirit became old. His service attitude matured on the transcendental plane, and therefore as soon as he was questioned by Vidur about Lord Krishna, he at once remembered his Lord by reference to the context and forget himself on the physical plane. That is a sign of pure devotional service to the Lord, as will be explained later on, Lakshan Bhakti Yogasya.
Yes, so here Prabhupada is explaining, it is only the body that grows old, and therefore there's fatigue. The spirit does not grow old. So therefore retirement is only on the bodily platform. On the spiritual platform, no retirements. So therefore, that's the devotee. The devotee's service attitude keeps on increasing. And of course, we have examples of so many of our acharyas. And the best example for us is Srila Prabhupada himself. At that age, what service attitudes. Amazing. So, and of course we can tell so many pastimes. Okay, at least 2 pastimes we'll tell. So Srila Prabhupada had gone to Fiji Islands. Fiji Islands. So at that time there was only one life member. He later got initiated as Vasudeva Prabhu. Just recently, a few years back, he left his body. So he was the first life member. He invited to Srila Prabhupada to come, and he arranged a lot of programs all over Fiji Islands. And when Srila Prabhupada went there, and so this Vasudeva Prabhu, he showed Srila Prabhupada's schedule to his servant and secretary. And they said, no, you cannot have so many programs. Srila Prabhupada's health is not so good. He cannot do so many programs. So Vasudeva Prabhu was quite disappointed because they'd already arranged the programs. So then Harishwari Prabhu was the personal servant that time. So Harishwari Prabhu told him, okay, you go and tell Srila Prabhupada. You speak to him directly. So Vasudeva Prabhu went to Srila Prabhupada directly and said, see, I've arranged all these programs, but your servant, your secretary says that you cannot do so many programs because of ill health. So Srila Prabhupada said, call them. So they were called, and Srila Prabhupada said to both of them something very instructive for all of us. Srila Prabhupada said, I have come here to Fiji Island simply to serve all the people here. That is service attitude. I've come here to serve all the people. Therefore, whatever programs he has arranged, I'm going to do all the programs. Don't cancel anything. So that was Srila Prabhupada. Another wonderful pastime is in 1976. Srila Prabhupada was in Washington, and he had one initiation ceremony where he initiated more than 100 devotees. And immediately after that, he became very sick. But he was scheduled to go to London from there, which was 8 or 9 hours flight. So, no, this was not at Washington, I suppose. No, this was not at Washington. This was at Manhattan, New York. So yes, 11-storied building, Manhattan. Srila Prabhupada was so proud of that. Huge, 11-storied building, full building for ISKCON. They had a theater and so many facilities. And so Srila Prabhupada fell very sick, and so many devotees, senior devotees, sannyasis, GBCs had come to take association of Srila Prabhupada. And so all of them were requesting, Srila Prabhupada, please stay for some more days. You can go to London later on. Srila Prabhupada said, no, I'm scheduled to go, I'm going. So 2-3 days later, Srila Prabhupada was going to leave. And again, devotees were requesting, please stay for some time, you have nice facilities here. Srila Prabhupada had his rooms on the top floor, the 11th floor of the building. Again, they were requesting, Srila Prabhupada said, no. So at the scheduled time, Srila Prabhupada got his bags, packed everything. And then Srila Prabhupada entered the elevator, the lift to come down from the 11th story. Many of the senior devotees again got into the lift. Again they were requesting, still they were requesting, Srila Prabhupada, please stay for some more days. You cannot travel in this condition. So finally Srila Prabhupada said, please do not take away the privilege of preaching. I want to simply die like a soldier on the war fields of preaching. So that was Srila Prabhupada's service attitudes. And then of course Harishari Prabhu in his Transcendental Diary describes what happened after Srila Prabhupada reached London in that condition. So he reached London in that condition, and then as soon as he sat in the car, hardly a few meters they drove, and Srila Prabhupada started vomiting. And his condition was very bad. But the point is that how Srila Prabhupada, that was his service attitude. Till the last breath. And of course we know the final pastimes. Even when he was so sick in Vrindavan, still he wanted to travel all over the world for preaching. And then of course he managed to go to London, and then he came back. And of course he continued his translating literally till the last breath he was translating. So, Srila Prabhupada never showed that example of retirement. Sometimes these days some devotees, they talk about retirement. Some brahmacharis also, some grihasthas also. But Srila Prabhupada never showed that example. Srila Prabhupada's example was service till the last breath. And even though sometimes Srila Prabhupada would talk about, he would say, now I want to spend more time for translation, so all the management, you disciples, devotees should take care. So he would say that, but it was never possible. So till the last breath, Srila Prabhupada was involved. He was serving. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada has written in this purport. So that's the devotee. The service attitude keeps on increasing. That is what should happen, because as one progresses, then the enthusiasm to serve increases. And so that's the symptom of actual progress. So even though the type of service may change, how much service one can do may change, but the attitude to serve never decreases. And of course we have Srila Srila Prabhupada's disciples also, same attitude. We have His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and very recently, yes, His Holiness Badrinaran Maharaj. So all of them we can see, serving till the last breath, literally. So we heard Badrinaran Maharaj in Mayapur just few days back. And after that, of course, he gave class even in Vrindavan. Right? So Srila Prabhupada and his disciples are showing through their example how one needs to serve till the end. Till the end. That's the standard our acharyas are showing. And so, that's the point. So that is the meaning of what? Vijara. Vijara. So not affected by the miseries of old age. Otherwise, normally what we find old people, at 70 years of age, which old man will think of starting a new project? At that time, everyone thinks of Aram. But, yes. And of course, we have read in the fourth canto, we read in Puranjan section that Jara went to whom? Yes, Narad Muni. And what Narad Muni told her? Wrong match. And he sent her to Yavanraj. So there also I think Srila Prabhupada writes in that purport also. So therefore Narad Muni and his followers, they are not affected by Jara. Okay, that's the second symptom. Third symptom is Vimrityu. Vimrityu. So what is the meaning of that? No mrityu for the devotees? Of course, Prabhupada is explaining. A liberated person prepares himself in such a way that he does not take any more material bodies which are destined to die. In other words, he does not fall down again to repeated birth and deaths. Okay, so that's the meaning of Vimrityu. That means no more material body, but eternal life. So no more death. So therefore, in that sense, a devotee is happy to leave this material body because he is getting closer to eternal life. Okay. Another symptom is Vishoka, which indicates that he is callous to material distress and happiness. Vishoka. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kangshati. So no shoka. So shoka is only on the bodily platform, correct? One loses something material, one gains something material, then there is material happiness and distress. But a devotee who is not on the bodily platform, there's no shoka, there's no happiness on the material bodily platform. Another is Vijigatsa, which indicates that he no longer desires material enjoyment. Another symptom is Apipata, which means that he has no desire other than to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, his dearmost pursuable Lord. No other desire. That is Shuddha Bhakti. Anya Bilashida Shunyam. Only desire is to serve. Further symptom is Satyakam, which indicates that all his desires are directed to the Supreme Truth, Krishna. He does not want anything else. Satyakam. So, only desire is to serve Krishna. Then he is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires is fulfilled by the grace of Krishna. First of all, he does not desire anything for his material benefit. And secondly, if he desires anything at all, he simply desires to serve the Supreme Lord. So that desire is fulfilled by the Lord's grace. That is called as Satya Sankalpa. So the devotee has only desires to please the Lord, and those desires are satisfied by Krishna. Give some examples. devotees' desires are satisfied by Krishna.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Vasudeva Datta, Krishna is Satya Kare Jai Mange Nritya. Nritya Varga Purti Vinu Nahi Anne.
Mm.
Krishna has only one activity to fulfill the desires of his devotee.
Mm.
He doesn't do anything.
So what was the desire of Vasudeva?
He wanted to liberate everyone.
He wanted to liberate everyone, yes. He fulfilled all the conditions of Brahmaji and yet he came. आप कुछ बोल रहे? हाँ? Dhruv Maharaj. How?
He wanted the greater kingdom than his.
Okay, so he wanted the kingdom, so Krishna gave him anyways.
Prabhupada's promise to Radha Raspberry.
Yes, this Jew project is the first class example for that. So Srila Prabhupada promised Radha Raspberry, you sit down tightly here, I'll build you a palace. And Krishna fulfilled. Right? So by mercifully taking away Mr. N, as Srila Prabhupada himself said, Lord Narasimhadev took him away. And so then Krishna fulfilled the desire ultimately. One more nice example in the Krishna's pastimes, 10th canto. Kubja, how? Of course, she wanted to serve, okay, that was. Huh? Yes, Nalkover and Manigriv, that's a good example. So when Krishna saw the two Arjun trees, then he remembered Narad Muni. So Narad Muni has told that these two trees will be delivered by Krishna. So I must do it. Sudama Banu, क्या हुआ?
He has desire that he gets something from Krishna.
No, he didn't have desire, no? Of course, his wife wanted for her husband. She also didn't want anything for herself. But anyway, Krishna gave. Of course, Acharyas explain there why Krishna gave. Anybody knows? So much. His attachment to poverty. He was attached to his poverty. So Krishna wanted to remove his attachment to poverty. So no attachment. No attachment to opulence also. No attachment to poverty also. Any attachment? Finished. Okay, so these are the 8 symptoms of one who is on the liberated platform. Anybody has got all 8? Anyway. How many you got, Aditya Prabhu? हाँ बोलिए. क्या है? Apipata. He has no desire other than to engage in devotional service of Krishna. And Satyakam, all his desires are directed to the Supreme Truth, Krishna. See, this apipata is more general, engage in devotional service of Krishna. Devotional service in general, essentially referring to the ninefold process of devotional service. Satyakam is more specific, all his desires simply to satisfy Krishna. Seems to be desires, more specific. So that seems to be the difference. Okay, then Prabhupada writes, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the word Mahima means returning to the spiritual world, back home, back to Vaikuntha. Sri Shukdev says that the word Mahima means that the devotee attains the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Sadharma, or the same quality. Just as Krishna is never born and never dies, his devotees who return to Godhead never die and never take birth within the material worlds. Okay. So now 2 verses are glorifying Maharaj Nabi. Read. Haan bolo.
Prabhuji, that devotee, progressing devotee, he never wants to retire. But sometimes these desires comes that now both ho gaya, now I should stop. So why this come, Prabhuji? Any specific reason you want to mention, and how to we can remedy for that?
What do you think?
First is that we are taking association of those devotees who are like they are not properly situated or they are not engaged properly. Then by associating them, we also
Possible.
I think like that, but
Possible. Association makes a lot of difference.
But you can mention further.
Yeah, so of course there could be various reasons. Now, first point is that we are not yet completely purified, correct? So because we are not yet completely purified, so therefore we tend to be affected by the body, correct? So then because the body becomes fatigued, then we also become fatigued. Why? Because of bodily misidentification. So to the degree one does not misidentify with the body, to that degree one will not be affected by what happens to the body. Correct, no? So the example of what analogy Prabhupada gives? ठीक है, coconut cut, ठीक है. That is, yes, actually that analogy is good for one who's on the liberated platform. Prabhupada gives that analogy of the coconut. He's inside the shell, the pulp is inside, but it's separated from the shell. Yes, that's one analogy. Another simple analogy Prabhupada gave is? Okay, that is also okay. Yes, the moon's reflection. The water moves, so therefore the reflection moves. Otherwise there is no connection between the moon and the water. The car and the person inside the car. So when something happens to the car, the person gets affected. In one lecture Prabhupada says, the car breaks, yes, his heart also breaks. Why? Attachment. So to the degree there is attachment, then to that degree one is affected. So to the degree one is in the bodily misconception, anything happens to the body, to that degree one is affected. So, okay, so that's one thing. Another reason is that lack of taste in devotional activities. So when there's no taste in devotional activities, then it becomes boring, and as one becomes old, then instead of the taste increasing, if the taste reduces, then already body is fatigued, then at the same time there is no taste, then things become very difficult. So this we have discussed quite a few times. Who gives the taste? Yes, Paramatma. Reference? 4:30:20. Okay. So it is the Paramatma within the heart who gives inspiration. The inspiration comes from the Paramatma. But to whom does the Lord give inspiration? He gives inspiration to the pure, unalloyed devotees. So to the degree one is practicing pure, unalloyed devotional service, then Krishna gives the inspiration. Then everything will be ever fresh. Then there is no boredom. So we can see how Srila Prabhupada was enthusiastic to read even his own books, because Srila Prabhupada firmly accepted that, yes, Krishna has dictated everything. So it's Krishna's words. So he was enthusiastic to hear Krishna's words. So yes, so therefore, to the degree one is practicing pure and unalloyed devotional service, the taste increases. And so if the taste increases, then yes, so then the enthusiasm to practice devotional service also increases. So, but if there's no taste, at the same time body is getting old and fatigued, then things become difficult. And so therefore, it's very important that the taste should increase, the enthusiasm should increase. Otherwise, in old age, it will become a difficult situation. And of course, offenses could add to the problem. So that also leads to lack of taste. So all these different factors could be there. So why a person may not... and of course association, as you rightly said, very important, association with the right type of devotees. So if one is associating with those devotees who are thinking of retirement, then one will also be inspired in the same way. Both ho gaya, theek hai, both ho gaya. So association also matters a lot. So all those factors are important. But the principle is always there. The principle is, as shown by our own acharyas, the principle is the service attitude should increase. ठीक है. Let's go to the next one. Read.
O Maharaj Parikshit, to glorify Maharaj Nabi, the old sages composed 2 verses. One of them is this: who can attain the perfection of Maharaj Nabi? Who can attain his activities? Because of his devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead agreed to become his son.
Okay, just on that point. So somebody may say, "Oh, I'm not feeling enthusiastic." So Srila Prabhupada gave a solution for that. What's that? Yes. Even if one is not feeling enthusiastic, one should act enthusiastically. So somebody may say, "Oh, that's hypocrisy, right?" That's hypocrisy, isn't it? Andar kuch, bahar kuch. Huh? Yes, he's trying sincerely. If he's trying sincerely, then it is not hypocrisy. Correct? If he's simply making a show, then that will be hypocrisy. But if he's sincerely trying to please Guru and Krishna, then that is not considered as hypocrisy. So yes, that's a solution. So in the conditioned state, we may not be feeling always very enthusiastic, but just like all of you have very enthusiastically come at this very odd time, so that's acting enthusiastic. So of course, I'm sure you're actually enthusiastic also, but at least the actions show that you're enthusiastic. So thank you for that. So that's the solution, the conditioned state. So even though one may not always be feeling very enthusiastic, but at least for the purpose of pleasing Guru and Krishna, at least for that purpose, one can try to act enthusiastically. So the sages have glorified Maharaj Nabi for his devotional service. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the words Shuddhena Karmana are significant in this verse. If work is not carried out in devotional service, it is contaminated by modes of material. Yajnatat Karmana. Activities performed only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord are pure and are not contaminated by the modes of material nature. All other activities are contaminated with the modes of ignorance and passion as well as goodness. So, in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, Lord Kapila has described devotional service in the 3 modes. So who remembers? Devotional service in the 3 modes. So first question, is devotional service contaminated by 3 modes? No. Then? Yes, the practitioner is contaminated by the modes. So what are the symptoms? Tell some symptoms.
अभिसंधा एवं हिंसा.
हाँ बोलो. क्या है उसका अर्थ क्या है? हम संस्कृत नहीं जानते.
अभिसंधा मीन्स.
ठीक है, अभिसंधाय को भूल जाओ. बाकी सिम्टम्स क्या है?
अभिसंधा हिंसा.
हाँ, हिंसा.
Pride, arrogance.
हाँ. This is whose symptoms?
Mode of ignorance.
Ah, yes. So when devotional is condemned by mode of ignorance, then we find the symptoms of himsa, violence, pride, anger, and yes, separatist mentality, bhinnadrik, having a mentality separate from that of the Supreme Lord. Okay, devotional service condemned by mode of passion. Desires. Desires for? Yes, prestige, popularity, fruitive results. Fruitive results. Mode of passion means fal kya milega. So one is eager for the fruits, for the benefits. So that is in the mode of passion. And in the mode of goodness? Kya? That's good, he is duty bound. What's the contamination? Happiness through purification. So he performs his duties with the purpose of nullifying any contamination in the performance of those duties. So that's he has a purpose. So mode of goodness means he wants to get purified, correct? But that purification is a hetu, that is a motive for which he is performing his prescribed duties. So that is also in one sense it's good, but that's not the highest. Ultimately, what is the highest purpose for performing the duties? Yes, samsiddhi haritoshnam. That is the highest purpose. So even if one wants to become purified, simply so that I will be free from sinful reactions. If I'm free from sinful reactions, then yes, no more suffering. Then I can be happy. So this is also a contamination. This is not on the high. Of course, it's better than the other two. It is better than the other two, but that is also not the highest. So as devotees also, we want to get purified, right? Right? Now, next chapter we'll see Tapo Divyam Putrakaya Shuddhyet. So we also want to get purified. So then that's a contamination? Contamination? Why no? It depends on for what we want to get purified. So if I want to get purified so that Shanti. So Sukh Shanti is not our goal. So our goal is, so I want to become purified so that my devotional service is pleasing to Krishna. Reference. वो तो ठीक है, डेफिनेशन है, more precise. हाँ नहीं, वो तो ठीक है, वो एग्जाम्पल है, कुछ वर्स बताओ, वर्स. Krishna likes purified devotional service. हाँ, good. उसमें एग्जैक्ट वर्ड कौन सा है? पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहम भक्ति उपरितम अश्नामि prayatatmana. So prayatatmana refers to one in purified consciousness. Krishna is happy to accept the devotional service of one who is purified in consciousness. Therefore we want to get purified, because Krishna will be pleased. Our ultimate goal to get purified is to please Krishna. That is our goal. So therefore, to the degree pleasure of Krishna is the goal, that is on the transcendental platform. If we have any personal goal, then it's a contamination. Right? So if even purification is a personal motive, then it's a contamination of the mode of goodness. Okay? Transcendental means only for Krishna. Next, 7. Nahi Baba, 7.
The second prayer is this: who is better worshipper of Brahmanas than Maharaj Nabhi? Because he worshipped the qualified Brahmanas to their full satisfaction. The Brahmanas, by their Brahmanical powers, showed Maharaj Nabhi the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, in person.
Right. So because Maharaj Nabhi worshipped the Brahmanas, so the Brahmanas then they perform the sacrifice to invoke the Supreme Lord. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, the Brahmanas engaged as priests in the sacrificial ceremony were not ordinary Brahmanas. They were so powerful that they could bring forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead by their prayers. Thus, Maharaj Nabhi was able to see the Lord face to face. Unless one is a Vaishnava, he cannot call forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord does not accept an invitation unless one is a Vaishnava. Then he's quoting the Shatkarma Nipunara. And further down he says, these Brahmanas were certainly very expert in chanting the Vedic mantras. They were competent in the performance of Vedic rituals, and over and above this, they were Vaishnavas. Therefore, by their spiritual powers, they could call on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enabled their disciple Maharaj Nabi to see the Lord face to face. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments that the word Ojasa means by dint of devotional service. Okay, so that's about Maharaj Nabi glorification. Okay, eighth.
After Nabi Maharaj departed for Badrikashram, the Supreme Lord Rishabdev understood that his kingdom was his field of activities. He therefore showed himself as an example and taught the duties of a householder by first accepting brahmacharya under the direction of spiritual masters. He also went to live at the spiritual master's place, Gurukula. After his education was finished, he gave gifts Guru Dakshina to his spiritual masters and then accepted the life of householder. He took a wife named Jayanti and begot 100 sons who were as powerful and qualified as he himself. His wife Jayanti had been offered to him by Indra, the king of heaven. Rishabdev and Jayanti performed householder life in an exemplary way, carrying out ritualistic activities ordained by the Shruti and Smriti Shastra.
Yes. So that's how he went through all that brahmacharya and then grihastha. So in the purport proper, this quoting Paritnana Sadhanam Vinasha Dushkritam. So these are two functions of the Supreme Lord when he incarnates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that in order to preach, one must live a practical life and show people how to do things. Apani achari bhakti shikhaimu sabare. One cannot teach others unless he behaves the same himself. Rishabdev was an ideal king and he took his education in the Gurukul, although he was already educated because Supreme Lord is omniscient. Although Rishabdev had nothing to learn from Gurukul, he went there just to teach the people in general how to take an education from the right source, from Vedic teachers. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught by his own example. So what are the examples from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life? How he taught through his own activities, his own example. So recently we celebrated Gaur Purnima. Okay, he took sannyas. So he takes sannyas, but he took sannyas to follow, okay, the Varnashram principles. Okay, good. Guru. So similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accepted Guru, Ishwar Puri. And then how he presented himself before Ishwar Puri. Guru Mora Murkha Deki Korila Shashan. So he presented himself simply as a fool in front of his spiritual master, though he is the Supreme Lord. Okay, some other example? Huh? He was doing morning program. Which morning program, Baba?
Mangal Arati he was doing every day.
Really? I don't know.
Jagannath.
Aapka reference kya hai?
But he was going to Jagannath temple and taking darshan and then.
Acha. Oh, like that. Sankhya Purvak Namagani. Yes, that is there. Okay, some other example? Huh? Okay, ideal Grihastha life, he invited Brahmanas. And regarding his Grihastha life, Srila Prabhupada, he speaks one point regarding his Grihastha life. Yes, he never joked with? Yes, with his wife, except on one occasion, he says. One occasion. What was the occasion? One occasion. No, something is... Sachimata was searching something and then I think so Mahaprabhu said, your daughter-in-law is taken, something like that. Okay. ठीक है और
ecstasy in chanting, dancing.
The extra, but that is for common people very different. Okay, what else? Okay, that's a good one. So yes, as a sannyasi, he denied all types of material opulences. Yes. So like? Yes, scented sandalwood oil given by Jagadanand Pandit and soft bed and so on. And yes, so he refused.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu banished Chota Haridas.
Yes, he banished Chota Haridas even though it was small fault. Why?
Haridas looked...
Yes, to set example for all those in the renounced order. Okay, when he was criticized by Ramchandra Puri, then he reduced his eating to 1/4. Yes. Okay, fine. Yes, Mahaprabhu. Not only South India, then he went to North India also. But in that context, in South India, there is one important point. Before he went to South India, yes, he took permission from all the devotees, including Sarvam Bhattacharya. Even though Sarvam Bhattacharya, he was a grahastha, there was one point, and just recently Mahaprabhu made him devotee. But yet Mahaprabhu is taking blessings from him. तो हम करेंगे ऐसे? जिनको हमने लाया, अरे वो क्या है, वो नया बच्चा है. But Mahaprabhu is taking blessings from him. Not only did he make him a devotee, he's grahastha, he's sannyasi, but he's taking blessings. So that's how Mahaprabhu is showing through his own example how it is important to get blessings from the devotees before doing something. How we are dependent on devotees' blessings, Vaishnava's blessings. Very important Siddhanta Mahaprabhu is showing through his own example. But at the same time, Mahaprabhu also showed, okay, so we need to take blessings of the Vaishnavas, but at the same time we should not be so attached to the Vaishnavas that one gives up the mission. How did he show that? Right. So Sam Bhattacharya fainted when Mahaprabhu was leaving, but Mahaprabhu didn't even turn back. He just left. Mission. Okay, so no sentimental attachment. So yes, there is great respect for the Vaishnavas, but at the same time, no sentimental attachment. No compromise in Lord's service. Not that, okay, I love all these Vaishnavas, so I'll not move out of this temple. I won't preach because I want to always remain here. Of course, if one is given that service, no problem. So yes, so that's how Mahaprabhu, through so many of his activities, and of course one very important example. Yes, Maharaj Pratap Rudra refused to meet. Sannyasi Alpachidra Sarvaloka Gai. So yes, he cared for what is public opinion, because the public opinion affects preaching, yes. So therefore he was concerned about the public opinion, not for himself. So that's how Mahaprabhu, he showed ideal behavior through all his actions. Apani achari bhakti shikaimu sabare. So that is, yes, that is the Supreme Lord. Okay, fine. So now we'll take a break, Gayatri break, for 5 minutes or so. So according to that clock, we'll start again at 6:30. ठीक है? अरे क्या schedule नहीं देगा क्या आपने? अच्छा, 5 onwards means no end. Oh, अच्छा, so you're surprised why it's ending at 8 o'clock. So you want it till what time? At least it's scheduled till 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna.